Hello! We are so excited for you to join us in the autopsy suite during your autopsy rotation. My name is Alexa Snyder. I am the PA or the pathologist assistant here on the autopsy and forensics team at Michigan Medicine. This is Safety in the Morgue. These are a few topics that we are going to touch base on, including universal precautions, personal protective equipment, blade safety, needle safety, radiation safety, and what to do if an accident does happen. Universal precautions. As many of you are graduates from a medical school and have experience in the medical field, I'm sure you are aware of what this means, but just to review, universal precautions is a practice that treats all human blood and certain body fluids as if they are known to be infectious. And this is very important in the autopsy setting, as we do not know the medical history for many of our decedents. And also, we are exposed to blood and plenty of body fluids during an autopsy. So it is important that you take the measures to protect yourself, including vaccinations, especially for hepatitis B, and using protective barriers, including PPE. So what does that include? We have our lovely model, Dr. Tasha Jean, on the left here. So first and foremost, your N95 mask is very important. You should have been fitted for this before you made it to the autopsy suite, and we do carry all sizes, including respirators for those that need it. Eye protection is also very important. I know many of you may be glasses wearers, but technically we want to make sure those lateral aspects of your eyes are protected as well, so we do provide eye protection, including face shields. We have hair coverage, shoe covers. We have both boots, as Dr. Tashan is wearing, and booties, which will just cover your shoes. Scrubs is another very important one. We provide scrubs that you can change in and out of. Basically, we don't want you wearing the scrubs you wear during autopsy back out into the public. So we do have a locker room which you can put in your used scrubs into the laundry and be able to change back out to whatever clothes you want to wear back into the public. Also, fluid resistant aprons. Common sense is that we don't want all these body fluids to leak onto our scrubs. And gloves. So in autopsy, we use a base layer of gloves, followed by a pair of cut gloves. We do have 4 different sizes, and these can be put on both hands, but at a minimum, please put it on your non-dominant hand, as you will be cutting with your dominant hand, leaving your non-dominant hand typically more exposed. And always followed by a top layer of gloves. Even if you're not using a cut glove, this way you can change dirty gloves very easy and still have a protective base layer. Blade safety. So just key takeaways for when dealing with blades is to use forceps and to keep the sharp end of a blade away from you as you're either putting it on or taking it off. So in this example, we are loading a blade, so we're grabbing it with forceps. The sharp end is away from us. We are sliding it onto the scalpel and waiting for that click to happen, making sure that these are aligned properly. When unloading a blade, again, we are holding it away from us. We are grabbing it on that bottom corner and taking it off with forceps. And then lastly, long blades. So this is the only blade I've ever cut myself on. They are incredibly sharp, so I do recommend keeping the blade down against the cutting board for both loading and unloading a blade. And at the end of these blades is a small little circular hole that you can use your forceps with. And when you're done taking off any of these blades, please, please, please absolutely put these in a sharps container, and those will be the red bins, and they'll be located next to each station. Needle safety. So for some cases, we will need to collect tox, which routinely includes vitreous, urine, and blood, and these are collected using a needle and a syringe. And in order to have nice, safe practice, we need to utilize good technique and proper form. So if you look at this picture to the right here, we want to position ourselves pretty stable and confidently. So we have that second and third finger in between the end of that syringe and what I call the plunger. And then we're using the thumb as like a good stabilizer as we pull up to collect whatever specimen you're trying to collect. And this positioning allows you to use one hand. So you're avoiding having one hand try to hold the syringe while you pull up on the other. So that free hand can help you, move organs away, etc. And we will revisit this during your rotation. And lastly, just never try to recap a needle. It's one of the more dangerous ways to accidentally poke yourself. Next, we have radiation safety. So for certain cases, we will need to collect postmortem x-rays, and we do try to have this done before autopsies are being performed, but sometimes we will need radiology to actually come while we are performing autopsies for a case. So after speaking with radiology, this is the machine they use, the Shimadzu Mobile Imagine. The basic rule of thumb is that if it's not pointing at you, you're safe, but also just to maintain 6 feet of distance. If you're beyond 6 feet, you're safe, even if it's pointing at you or in your direction. Just a reminder that x-rays do not turn corners, so if you are around the corner from where the x-ray is being shot, it can't like bounce off a wall and come at you. And of course, it does not pass through lead. And images are nearly instantaneous, so you're not going to have like a constant emission of x-rays for a prolonged period of time. If you feel like you can't comply with any of these safety precautions, feel free to exit the morgue floor until it's all clear to come back in. Okay, so lastly, we just want to revisit all these helpful things, but sometimes accidents do happen. So what do you do if you cut or poke yourself or have an exposure? Exposure practices. So most importantly, clean the exposure. If you were poked with a needle or cut yourself, it needs to be washed with soap and water. And it needs to be done so diligently. Splashes to the nose, mouth, or skin should just be flushed with water. And exposures to the eye are irrigated with water, saline, or a sterile wash. And in our morgue suite, we do have an eye wash station. Next is to report the exposure. So notify the morgue supervisor, Lisa Neal, if she's not available or nearby. Just alert any of our staff. We all should be familiar with what steps need to be taken. So first things is that occupational health will need to be paged at the exposure pager, which is the 5356. And in that page, provide the following. So the name and the employee ID of the person exposed, the phone number or the pager number where they can be reached, and the name and MRN of the decedent. The next step is that a gold top SST tube and a purple top EDTA tube of blood should try to be obtained from the decedent, and then these will be taken to microbiology so they can perform the appropriate test. And at a certain point, somebody from occupational health should reach back out to the exposed or you, and they will instruct you whether or not you need to report to occupational health or a different location, or if you are okay and don't need to come, but they will let you know that. That's all I have for you guys. I just wanted to keep it brief. A couple quick reminders. Of course, if you have any additional questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to reach out to me. That's the first email there, or Dr. Wilson, that second email there, and also our morgue supervisor, Lisa Neal, which is that third email. Again, can't wait to see you guys on the suite.